The pen trembled in my hand as I stared at the stack of papers before me. My house, my safe haven for the past decade, was about to become nothing more than a signature away from belonging to someone else. The realtor's polite cough snapped me back to reality. I'm Trisha, and I've spent my entire life being the responsible one. When our parents died in a car crash 12 years ago, I was 23, fresh out of college, with two younger siblings to raise. Robin was 19, Louis just 17. Instead of pursuing my dreams in architecture, I took a steady job in accounting and bought this modest three-bedroom house in the suburbs. It wasn't glamorous, but it was ours. Are you sure about this? The realtor's voice was gentle, probably sensing my hesitation. Before I could respond, Robin's manicured hand squeezed my shoulder. Of course she's sure. This is going to change all our lives, right, Trish? I forced a smile, remembering the enthusiastic pitch my siblings had given me last month. A revolutionary wellness center, they'd said. Something about combining holistic healing with modern fitness techniques. They had spreadsheets, projections, and even a slick presentation. All they needed was capital. Specifically, the equity from my house. The market's hot right now, Louis chimed in, adjusting his designer glasses. You'll make twice what you paid for it, easy, and once the wellness center takes off. He let the sentence hang there, full of promise. I signed the papers, one by one, each signature feeling heavier than the last. The realtor gathered them efficiently, like she was collecting fallen leaves, not the pieces of my security. Congratulations! Robin squealed, pulling me into a tight hug. I can't believe you're doing this for us. You're literally the best big sister ever. Louis was already on his phone, probably messaging his girlfriend about the good news. We should celebrate. Dinner at Marino's? That's a bit expensive, I started to say, but Robin cut me off. Come on, Trish, we're about to be business owners. Let's live a little. At Marino's, surrounded by ambient lighting and the clink of expensive wine glasses, I watched my siblings order everything from Wagyu beef to truffle pasta. Robin was gesturing animatedly about color schemes for the wellness center, while Louis nodded, occasionally adding comments about equipment costs. When can we start looking at locations? I asked, pushing my barely touched salmon around the plate. Oh, we've got that covered, Robin waved dismissively. We've been scouting places for weeks. There's this perfect spot in the downtown district. Shouldn't I see it first? I mean, it's my investment too. Louis nearly choked on his wine. Trust us, sis. We've got this. You focus on moving your stuff to that cute apartment we found you. The cute apartment was a one-bedroom unit above a noisy bar, but it was all I could afford after liquidating my assets for their venture. The rental agreement sat in my purse, signed this morning right before the house closing. To new beginnings! Robin raised her glass, her perfect teeth gleaming in the dim light. And to Trisha, the best big sister anyone could ask for. As we clinked glasses, a memory flashed through my mind. Robin at 19, crying over college tuition she couldn't afford. Louis at 17, needing braces but not having insurance. I'd figured it out then, worked extra hours, made it happen. Maybe this was their turn to step up, to prove they'd grown into responsible adults. When do we meet with the contractor? I asked, trying to sound casual. Don't worry about all that boring stuff, Robin said, signaling the waiter for another bottle of wine. We'll handle everything. You've done enough by providing the startup capital. Something in her tone made my stomach clench, but I pushed the feeling aside. These were my siblings, the same ones I'd packed lunches for, helped with homework, consoled through breakups. They wouldn't betray my trust, would they? As we left the restaurant, Robin and Louis shared an Uber, heading downtown to check on something for the business. I drove home alone, the word feeling strange now that home meant a tiny apartment instead of my house. In the parking lot, I sat in my car for a long moment, listening to the bass thump from the bar below my new residence. My phone buzzed, a text from Robin. Thanks again, sis. You won't regret this. I clicked off the phone and grabbed my overnight bag from the trunk. The first box of my belongings would arrive tomorrow. As I climbed the stairs to my apartment, each step felt like I was walking deeper into a decision I might live to regret. But they were family, and family wouldn't lie to you, right? 3 weeks into living above the bar, and I still hadn't seen the wellness center location. My calls to Robin and Lewis went straight to voicemail more often than not, and their responses were always the same. So busy with permits? Or meeting contractors all day? I decided to surprise them with lunch, picking up their favorites from that deli they loved. The downtown address they'd mentioned was supposedly their temporary office space, while the main location was being renovated. The security guard at the building looked confused when I mentioned their names. "Never heard of them," he said, checking his tablet. "No wellness center listed as a tenant either." "There must be some mistake," I insisted, pulling up Robin's latest text about another busy day at the office. "Suite 405? That's been empty for months, ma'am." My stomach dropped. The sandwiches suddenly felt heavy in my hands. Back in my car, I called my cousin Hector. He'd always been the level-headed one in the family. "Something's not right," I said when he answered. "They're not at the office they claim to have." "Want me to swing by? I'm only 10 minutes away." We met in the parking lot, and Hector's presence immediately calmed my racing thoughts. He had that effect on people. "Let's think this through," he said, unwrapping one of the abandoned sandwiches. "Have you seen any actual paperwork? Business plans? Contracts?" They showed me projections and presentations, but I paused, realizing something. Nothing official, no legal documents. Hector's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then showed me the screen. It was Robin's Instagram story, a poolside photo tagged at some luxury resort in Miami. "Didn't she tell you she was meeting contractors all week?" My hands started shaking. "Maybe it's an old photo?" "Posted an hour ago, Trisha." I scrolled through her feed, something I'd been too busy to do lately. There were shopping bags from designer stores, champagne brunches, a new car I'd never seen before. "Call Lewis," Hector suggested. Lewis answered on the fourth ring, music thumping in the background. "Trish, what's up?" "Where are you?" "At the office, obviously. These permit applications are killing me." A female voice giggled nearby, followed by the distinct sound of glasses clinking. "Really? Sounds like quite the office party." "Oh, just a quick celebration. One of our permits came through." "Which permit?" "Look, I gotta go. Important call coming in. Love you." The line went dead. Hector watched my face crumple. "I heard everything," he said quietly. "Want to drive by Lewis's apartment?" 20 minutes later, we pulled up outside his building. A brand new Mercedes sat in his assigned spot. Definitely not the beat-up Civic he'd been driving last month. "When did he get that?" I whispered. As if on cue, Lewis emerged from the building, wearing clothes I'd never seen before. Designer clothes. He was helping a woman into the Mercedes, both of them laughing. I started to get out of the car, but Hector grabbed my arm. "Wait, look." Robin's distinctive red hair appeared in the building's entrance. She was supposed to be in Miami. "What the hell is going on?" I muttered. We watched as my siblings drove off in the Mercedes, leaving me with a growing pit in my stomach. Back at my apartment, I pulled out all the documents they'd shown me about the wellness center. The projections looked professional at first glance, but now I noticed they were just templates, filled with generic numbers. The presentation was mostly stock photos and buzzwords. "I'm such an idiot," I said, slumping onto my couch. Hector sat beside me. "You're not an idiot. You're someone who trusted their family. They took everything, Hector. My house, my savings. Then we'll find out exactly what they did with it." He pulled out his phone. "I know someone who might be able to help. She's a private investigator, really good at following money trails." "I can't afford a PI. Catherine owes me a favor. Let me make a call." As Hector stepped outside to make his call, I heard voices arguing in the hallway. I recognized them immediately. "We need to be more careful," Lewis was saying. "Trisha's not stupid." "Relax," Robin replied. "She trusts us completely. Besides, what's she gonna do? The money's already spent." They passed by my door, unaware I was listening. Their laughter echoed down the hallway, mixing with the bass from the bar below. Hector came back inside, phone in hand. Catherine can meet us tomorrow. I nodded, my hands clenching into fists. Good, because I want to know exactly what they've done with my money. And then, they're going to wish they'd never betrayed me. The bass thumped below, but for the first time, it felt like a heartbeat, pumping anger instead of blood through my veins. Catherine's office was nothing like I expected. Instead of a dim, noir-style detective's lair, it was a modern co-working space with bright windows and plenty of plants. She looked more like a tech executive than a PI, wearing a crisp blazer and typing rapidly on a sleek laptop. "So," she said, turning her screen toward me, "your siblings received the money from your house sale exactly 23 days ago. Want to guess where it went first?" I leaned forward. "The business account?" Not even close. They split it 3 ways, but not evenly. Robin took 50%, Lewis got 30%, and 20% went into a joint account they opened last month. Hector, sitting beside me, let out a low whistle. "That's pretty brazen." "Gets better," Catherine continued, clicking through several screens. "Robin's been making daily withdrawals at high-end boutiques. Gucci, Prada, you name it. Lewis dropped 30 grand at a luxury car dealership last week. Down payment on that Mercedes you saw." My throat felt tight. "What about the joint account?" "That's their fun money. Restaurants, clubs, hotels. They spent 5 grand last weekend at some rooftop bar downtown." "While I'm living above a dive bar," I muttered. Catherine's fingers flew across the keyboard. "They're not exactly trying to hide their spending. Look at this." She pulled up Robin's social media accounts, not just Instagram, but several platforms I didn't even know she used. Each one showcased a lifestyle that screamed new money: designer clothes, expensive restaurants, luxury vacations. "She posted this 3 hours ago," Catherine said, pointing to a photo of Robin lounging on a yacht. The caption read, "Business meetings done right. Jak entrepreneur life os blessed." "Can we use any of this legally?" I asked. "Already on it. I've documented everything, including their verbal agreements about the wellness center. They committed fraud, Trisha, plain and simple." Hector touched my arm. "You could go to the police." "Not yet," Catherine interjected. "We need more concrete evidence. Text messages, emails, recorded conversations. Anything showing their intent to deceive." "I have their original presentation," I offered. "The fake business plan." "Good start, but we need more." Catherine leaned back in her chair. "Here's what I propose. We set up surveillance, track their movements, record their conversations when they're in public spaces. All legal, all admissible in court." "How long will that take?" "Give me a week. They're not exactly subtle. People this careless with money tend to be careless with their words, too." Just then, my phone buzzed. A text from Robin. "Hey sis, quick update. Permits taking longer than expected. But don't worry, everything's going great. Miss you." I showed Catherine the message. She smirked. "Perfect. Keep acting normal. In fact, why don't you invite them to dinner next week?" "What good would that do?" "Trust me. By then, I'll have enough dirt to make them squirm. Plus, I'll be at the next table, recording everything." The plan started taking shape. Catherine would document their spending and movements. Hector would help me gather any paperwork related to the fake business. And I would play the naive big sister just a little longer. "One more thing," Catherine said, pulling out a small device. "This is a voice-activated recorder, perfectly legal to use in public spaces. Carry it with you." As if on cue, my phone rang. It was Lewis. Catherine nodded encouragingly as I answered and hit record. "Trish, how's my favorite sister?" "I'm your only sister, Lewis. Listen, Robin and I were thinking, we should do dinner soon, update you on everything." I caught Catherine's eye. She gave me a thumbs up. "Actually, I was about to suggest the same thing. Next Friday?" "Perfect. That new steakhouse downtown? Our treat." "Sure," I said, keeping my voice steady. "How's the wellness center coming along?" "Oh, permits and stuff. But it's gonna be amazing. You'll see." After hanging up, Catherine was already typing. That steakhouse has excellent acoustics. I'll get the table next to yours. Standing to leave, I felt lighter than I had in weeks. Finally, I was doing something instead of just being a victim. Remember, Catherine called as Hector and I headed out. Act normal. Let them think they're still in control. The best revenge is making them reveal themselves. In the elevator, Hector squeezed my shoulder. You okay? Better than okay. For the first time since selling my house, I feel like I'm taking back control. Just be careful. They're still your siblings. No, I said, watching the floor numbers descend. They stopped being my siblings the moment they decided to steal from me. Now they're just people who need to learn actions have consequences. The elevator dinged, and I stepped out into the sunshine, the recorder secure in my pocket. 1 week. In 1 week, I'd have enough evidence to confront them. And this time, I wouldn't be the only one losing everything. Catherine's evidence arrived in a series of texts throughout the week, each one more infuriating than the last. Photos of Robin trying on designer clothes at boutiques during supposed contractor meetings. Videos of Lewis test-driving sports cars when he claimed to be reviewing permit applications. But nothing prepared me for the Instagram live video she forwarded on Thursday night. You need to watch this now, Catherine's text read. I clicked play. Robin's face filled the screen, slightly drunk and very animated. She was at some rooftop bar, Lewis visible in the background, with his arm around 2 women. So many of you have been asking about my business journey, Robin slurred to her followers. Here's the secret, babes. Sometimes you gotta fake it till you make it. Lewis appeared behind her, champagne in hand. Tell them about the wellness center. They both burst out laughing. Robin could barely catch her breath. Oh my God! Remember those fake spreadsheets? And Trisha actually believed them. Best investment ever, Lewis chimed in, raising his glass. To my gullible sister! The video cut off. My hands were shaking so hard, I nearly dropped the phone. Another text from Catherine. They went live without realizing I was following them. Deleted it 10 minutes later, but I got the recording. I called Hector immediately. Did you see it? Just watched it. I'm coming over. 20 minutes later, we sat in my tiny apartment, the bass from the bar below punctuating our conversation like an angry heartbeat. I've got more, Catherine said over speakerphone. They're planning to leave the country next month. Found flight searches on their shared cloud account. One-way tickets to Bali. With my money, I said through gritted teeth. First class, naturally. But here's the interesting part. They're liquidating assets. The Mercedes? Listed for sale yesterday. Robin's new designer bags? Most are already on consignment sites. Hector leaned forward. They're running. Not if I can help it, Catherine replied. I've documented everything. The fraud, the Instagram confession, the flight plans. We have enough for the police, but... But what? But you might want to confront them first. Give them a chance to make it right. I laughed bitterly. You think they'll just hand the money back? No, but confronting them publicly might scare them enough to try. That dinner tomorrow? Perfect opportunity. The plan came together quickly. Catherine would set up surveillance at the steakhouse, capturing everything from multiple angles. Hector would be seated at the bar, ready to intervene if needed, and I would finally stop playing the fool. One more thing, Catherine said. Check your email. I opened the attachment she'd sent. It was a series of text messages between Robin and Lewis from the day they convinced me to sell the house. Robin. She's actually going to do it. Can't believe how easy this was. Lewis. What if she asks to see the business location? Robin. Please. She trusts us completely. By the time she figures it out, we'll be living our best lives somewhere else. Lewis. Kind of feel bad, though. Robin. She's had that house for years. Time for her to learn to live a little less boring. The timestamps matched exactly when I was signing away my home. I'm going to be sick, I muttered. Use it, Catherine advised. Tomorrow at dinner, let them dig their own graves, then bury them with evidence. After hanging up, Hector helped me rehearse what I'd say, how I'd stay calm when confronting them, how I'd present the evidence. What if they run? I asked. Catherine's got people watching their apartments. They're not going anywhere. My phone buzzed. A text from Robin. Can't wait for dinner tomorrow. Got some exciting updates about the wellness center. I showed Hector the message. He shook his head in disbelief. They really think you're that naive. I replied, typing back a cheerful response complete with emojis. But not anymore. That night, I couldn't sleep. The bar's music seemed louder than usual, or maybe it was just the blood pounding in my ears. I scrolled through old family photos, birthdays, holidays, graduations. In every picture, I was the one taking care of them, protecting them, sacrificing for them. My phone lit up with a notification. Robin had posted another Instagram story. She and Lewis at a nightclub throwing back shots. The caption read, Pre-gaming for dinner with Big Sis tomorrow. Sjark family first, blessed. I clicked off my phone and stared at the ceiling. In less than 24 hours, I'd face my siblings across a dinner table and watch their carefully constructed lies crumble. Part of me felt sick about it. A bigger part felt something else. Justice was coming. And it would be served with their favorite wine. The steakhouse hummed with Friday night energy as I arrived early to meet Catherine. She was already there, disguised in a dark wig and business attire, setting up her surveillance equipment at a corner table. Microphones are ready, she whispered, adjusting something under her table. Hector's at the bar. You remember the signal if things get out of hand? I nodded, touching the small recorder in my purse. 2 taps on the water glass. Perfect. And remember, let them talk. The more they say, the more we have. My phone buzzed. Robin. Running 15 minutes late. Traffic is crazy. Order me a martini? They're pre-gaming again, I told Catherine. Saw them on Instagram doing shots an hour ago. Even better. Drunk people talk more. I took my seat at the reserved table, ordered Robin's martini, and waited. The maitre d' kept bringing bread, probably pitying my solo status. At 30 minutes past our reservation time, I heard them before I saw them. Trisha! Robin's voice carried across the restaurant. She wobbled slightly in her stilettos, wearing a dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Lewis trailed behind her, adjusting his designer watch. Sorry we're late, he said, kissing my cheek. His breath reeked of whiskey. Traffic was insane. Really? Your Instagram stories showed you at the Apex Lounge an hour ago. They exchanged quick glances. Robin recovered first, sliding into her seat. Just one quick drink with potential investors. Speaking of which, wait till you hear our latest updates. The waiter appeared. Robin ordered another martini. Lewis went for a $200 bottle of wine. It's on us, he insisted, waving away my protest. Least we can do for our amazing sister. Amazing sister who gave up her house for this venture? I said carefully. How is that going, by the way? Still having permit issues? Robin launched into an elaborate story about bureaucratic red tape and contractor delays. I let her talk, watching Catherine's table from the corner of my eye. She was recording everything. Funny thing, I interrupted. I drove by the downtown location you mentioned. Building security had never heard of any wellness center. Lewis choked on his wine. Robin's smile flickered. Oh, that, she said, waving dismissively. We actually found a better location, much more upscale. Where? It's still in negotiations. Very hush-hush. You understand. The waiter returned with their drinks. Robin practically lunged for her martini. I understand a lot of things now, I said quietly. Like how you managed to afford that new Gucci bag, Robin. Or your Mercedes, Lewis. Business expenses, Lewis muttered. For meeting clients. What clients? Robin kicked him under the table. I saw it clearly. Trisha, she said, leaning forward. I know it seems like we're just having fun, but everything's going according to plan. Trust us. Like you trusted me to believe those fake spreadsheets? The color drained from both their faces. Oh, what spreadsheets? Robin's voice had lost its confidence. I pulled out my phone and played the Instagram live video. Their drunken laughter filled our corner of the restaurant. Remember those fake spreadsheets? And Trisha actually believed them. That's, that's not what it sounds like, Lewis stammered. Really? How about these texts? I showed them the screenshots Catherine had recovered. Planning to run away to Bali with my money? Robin grabbed her purse. We should discuss this somewhere private. Sit down. My voice was steel. We're just getting started. You don't understand, Lewis pleaded. We had a plan. To steal from me? To leave me living above a bar while you spent my money on designer clothes and luxury cars? Other diners were starting to stare. Good. Lower your voice, Robin hissed. Why? Embarrassed that people might learn what you did? That you stole from your own sister? Lewis stood up. We're leaving. Sit down, I repeated. Unless you want me to call the police right now. Catherine's already documented everything. Who's Catherine? Robin demanded. The private investigator who's been watching you spend my money for the past 3 weeks. They both turned, scanning the restaurant. Catherine raised her wineglass in their direction. You had us investigated? Robin's voice cracked. Did you really think I was that stupid? That I wouldn't figure it out? Lewis slumped in his chair. We can explain. Save it for the police, or we can handle this another way. Robin's mascara was starting to run. What do you want? I pulled out a document Catherine had prepared. Sign this. It's a repayment agreement. You have 48 hours to return every penny, or I press charges. We don't have it all, Lewis whispered. We spent. Then sell everything you bought with my money. Every bag, every car, every piece of jewelry. 48 hours. Robin's hands shook as she reached for the paper. You'd really send your own siblings to jail? I leaned forward, making sure they both saw the cold fury in my eyes. You stopped being my siblings the moment you decided to steal from me. Now sign! The document made its way around the table, their signatures shaky but legible. As I stood to leave, Robin grabbed my arm. Trisha, please. I pulled away. 48 hours. Tick-tock. The next morning, my phone exploded with notifications. Robin and Lewis had been busy overnight, listing everything on various resale sites. Designer clothes, jewelry, watches. Even the Mercedes was on AutoTrader. They're scrambling, Catherine said over coffee in my apartment. Already sold 3 bags and a watch, but they're taking lowball offers. Ah, desperate people make desperate choices, Hector added, scrolling through the listings. Look at this. Robin's selling that Cartier bracelet for half what she paid. My phone buzzed again. A text from Robin. Can we talk? Please? In person? I showed Catherine the message. She nodded. Meet them somewhere public. I'll be nearby. An hour later, I sat in a busy coffee shop, watching Robin and Lewis approach. They looked different, subdued, wearing plain clothes instead of their usual designer outfits. We've raised almost half, Lewis said without preamble, sliding into the seat across from me. But we need more time for the rest. The deadline stands. Robin's eyes were red. We've called everyone we know, trying to get loans, but no one's willing to help. Funny how that works when you're asking for actual business investments, instead of stealing from family. We never meant, Lewis started. Save it. I cut him off. Every time you open your mouth, another lie comes out. A barista called out their orders. Lewis went to get them, leaving me alone with Robin. Remember when I had that car accident in college? She asked quietly. You gave up your spring break to take care of me. Don't. You've always been there for us, Trisha. Always picking up our pieces. And this is how you repaid me? My voice cracked. By stealing my house? Lewis returned with their drinks. We've got someone interested in the Mercedes, offering cash, but it's less than we hoped. Take it, I said. Clock's ticking. What happens after? Robin whispered. If we pay you back, can we fix this? I looked at my siblings, really looked at them. Robin's designer bag was gone, replaced by a canvas tote. Lewis's expensive watch was missing from his wrist. You know what hurts the most? I said. Not the money, not even the lies. It's that you laughed about it, made jokes about how gullible I was, posted about it on social media like it was something to be proud of. They flinched. I saw the video, The one where you're bragging about tricking me, showing off how clever you were, scamming your own sister. We were drunk, Lewis muttered. You were honest, for once. My phone buzzed. Catherine updating me on their sales. More items sold, but still not enough. 36 hours left, I reminded them, standing up. And if you're even $1 short, I'm going to the police. Wait. Robin grabbed my arm. What about family? Doesn't that mean anything? I yanked my arm away. You should have thought about that before you decided to steal from it. Outside, Catherine was waiting in her car. They're selling everything, she reported, but they're still about 100 grand short. They'll find it, I said. They're creative when they need to be. My phone lit up with a message from an unknown number, a video link. I clicked it. It was Robin, makeup-free, sitting on what looked like her bedroom floor. Hey, followers. I need to be honest about something. I've made some terrible choices. She's doing a confession video? Catherine leaned over to watch. I betrayed someone's trust, someone who's always been there for me, and now I'm selling everything I bought with stolen money to try to make it right. The video continued, Robin breaking down as she detailed her actions, her shame, her regret. The comments were already flooding in. Shock, disappointment, anger. Smart, Catherine mused. She's using her influencer status to sell everything faster, playing the redemption angle. Another notification, Lewis posting on LinkedIn about selling his Mercedes. Correcting past mistakes, he wrote, all reasonable offers considered. They're really doing it, I said, surprised despite myself. Ah, fear is a powerful motivator, Catherine replied. But don't let your guard down. They're still trying to save themselves, not make things right with you. My phone buzzed again. Hector this time. You okay? No, I replied honestly. But I will be. Looking out the window, I watched Robin and Lewis leave the coffee shop, heads down, shoulders slumped. They looked smaller somehow, stripped of their stolen luxury. 36 hours, I reminded myself. Catherine started her car. Want to place bets on whether they make it? No need, I said, watching my siblings disappear around the corner. They'll make it, because for the first time in their lives, they don't have a choice. With 1 hour left until the deadline, I sat in Catherine's office, watching the money trickle into my account. Robin's designer collection had been decimated, Lewis's Mercedes sold at a loss, and their joint accounts drained. They're still short, Catherine announced, checking the latest figures. About 20,000. My phone rang. Robin. I put it on speaker. We're so close, she pleaded. Just give us until tomorrow morning, please. The deadline hasn't changed. We've sold everything. There's nothing left. Catherine slid a tablet across the desk. On it was a photo of Robin's wrist, still adorned with their mother's diamond tennis bracelet, a family heirloom. Not everything, I said. The line went silent. No, Robin whispered. Not Mom's bracelet. Please, Trisha. 55 minutes, I hung up. Hector, who'd been quiet until now, spoke up. That's cold. They didn't think twice about taking my house, I reminded him. The house I bought to give them a home after Mom and Dad died. Catherine's computer pinged. Movement on their accounts. They're at a pawn shop. 40 minutes later, the final transfer came through. Catherine verified the total. They did it, she confirmed. Down to the last penny. My phone buzzed with a text from Robin. It's done. Happy now? Should we go? Hector asked. I nodded. Time for the final act. The family restaurant we'd chosen for this last meeting held years of memories. Birthdays, graduations, Sunday dinners. Robin and Lewis were already there, sitting in our usual booth, looking shell-shocked. The money's been verified, I said, sliding in across from them. Every cent accounted for. Robin's wrist was bare. Lewis's designer clothes had been replaced by old jeans and a faded t-shirt. So that's it? Lewis asked. We're done? Almost. I pulled out 2 envelopes. These are copies of everything Catherine gathered. The fraud evidence, the Instagram video, the text messages. I'm keeping the originals. Why? Robin's voice was hollow. Insurance. In case you ever think about trying something like this again. We won't, Lewis said quickly. We've learned our lesson. Have you? Because from where I'm sitting, you're only sorry you got caught. Robin's makeup was streaked with tears. What do you want us to say? We screwed up. We betrayed you. We're horrible people. I don't want you to say anything. I want you to listen. They sat silently as I continued. For 12 years, I put my life on hold to take care of you. When Mom and Dad died, I could have walked away, let the state handle it. But I didn't. I bought that house so we could stay together, worked extra jobs to put you through college. And how did you repay me? By stealing everything I had and laughing about it. We can change, Lewis whispered. Maybe, but not with me in your lives. Their heads snapped up. What do you mean? Robin asked. I mean we're done. After tonight, I don't want to hear from either of you again. No calls, no texts, no social media, nothing. You're cutting us off? Lewis's voice cracked. But we're family. Family doesn't steal from family. Family doesn't laugh about betraying trust. Family doesn't post videos mocking their sister's generosity. Please. Robin reached for my hand. We'll do anything. I pulled away. You already did everything. That's the problem. Standing up, I left the envelopes on the table. One last thing, I said. Mom's bracelet. I called the pawn shop. I'm buying it back tomorrow. Not for you, but because she would have wanted it kept in the family. The real family. Trisha, wait! Lewis stood up. Sit down, I said firmly. This isn't a negotiation. It's a goodbye. Walking out of the restaurant, I heard Robin's sobs behind me. But for the first time, they didn't make me turn back. Didn't make me want to fix everything. Catherine and Hector were waiting in the parking lot. You okay? Hector asked. I looked back at the restaurant window, where my siblings sat crying in our family booth for the last time. No, I said honestly, but I will be. Want company tonight? Catherine offered. I shook my head. I need to do something first. An hour later, I stood in front of my old house. The new owners had painted it blue, planted different flowers. It wasn't my home anymore, but as I turned away, I realized something. I didn't need it to be. Sometimes losing everything means finding yourself, and sometimes saying goodbye to family means finally being free. My phone buzzed one last time, Robin again. I blocked the number without reading the message. Some chapters need to end for new ones to begin. The realtor's smile was genuine as she handed me the keys. Congratulations on your new home, Trisha. Standing in the empty living room of my new house, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Peace. It was smaller than my old place, but it was mine. Bought with the recovered money and a determination to start fresh. My phone buzzed. Catherine sending me a link. Thought you might want to see this? It was Robin's latest social media post. Her first in weeks. No designer clothes, no luxury backdrop. Just her, sitting in what looked like a small office, wearing business casual attire. First day at my new job, the caption read. Starting over isn't easy, but it's necessary. To those I've hurt, I'm not asking for forgiveness, just trying to be better. The comments were surprisingly supportive. Proud of you for taking responsibility? Everyone deserves a second chance if they're willing to work for it. Hector arrived with pizza as I was unpacking kitchen boxes. Saw Robin's post, he said, setting down the food. Lewis got a job too, regular sales position at a car dealership. Good for them, I said and meant it. They asked about you again. Hector. I know. Just thought you should know they're really trying to change. The doorbell rang. Catherine, carrying a housewarming plant and a folder. Final report, she said, handing me the folder. Thought you might want it for closure. Inside were screenshots of Robin and Lewis's recent activities. Regular jobs, modest apartments, no more luxury purchases. They were living within their means for the first time in their adult lives. They're doing better, Catherine noted, though I'm sure having their safety net cut off helped motivate that change. Speaking of change, Hector said, pulling something from his jacket. Remember this? He held up an old photo, me and my siblings on the day I bought my first house. We were smiling, full of hope and plans for the future. We should take a new one, Catherine suggested. New house, new chapter. Wait, I said, reaching into a box. There's something else that should be in the photo. I pulled out Mom's tennis bracelet, restored to its former glory after rescuing it from the pawn shop. Perfect, Hector said, raising his phone. Smile! The flash went off just as another text came through. An unknown number. Lewis. I know you blocked us, and I respect that. Just wanted you to know I'm sorry. Really sorry. Not asking for anything. Just needed to say it. As I stared at the message, Catherine touched my arm. You don't owe them a response. I know, I said, putting the phone down. But maybe that's the point. It's not about owing anymore. I picked up my own phone and typed, I saw your new job posts. Good luck with everything. Short, simple, final. You sure about that? Hector asked. Yeah, I said, looking around my new living room. Sometimes the best way to help people is to let them help themselves. Catherine raised her pizza slice. To new beginnings? And to endings, I added. The ones we choose for ourselves. Later that night, after Catherine and Hector left, I sat on my new porch, Mom's bracelet catching the moonlight. A notification popped up. Robin had posted again. Someone wise once taught me that actions speak louder than words, she'd written. Today, I'm letting my actions do the talking. Below was a photo of her donation receipt to a family crisis center, the same one that had helped us after our parents died. I didn't like or comment on the post. Some growth needs to happen without audience or approval. Instead, I went inside and hung that old family photo next to the new one Catherine and Hector had taken. The contrast was striking, not just in time, but in truth. The old photo showed a family bound by obligation. The new one showed a woman surrounded by chosen family, people who'd earned their place in her life. My phone buzzed one final time. A text from Catherine. You good? I looked around my new home, at the boxes waiting to be unpacked and the walls waiting to be filled with new memories. Yeah, I replied. I'm good. And for the first time since this whole ordeal began, it wasn't just words. Standing in my new living room, wearing Mom's bracelet and surrounded by the evidence of my fresh start, I felt something settle into place. Some people say blood is thicker than water, but I've learned that trust is thicker than both. And sometimes building a new family is braver than holding onto a broken one. I turned off my phone, picked up another box, and got back to work. There was unpacking to do, and tomorrow was waiting.